Okay guys, so today, let's check if this thing is working. Yes it is. Uh, so today we are going to do passage 2 for ACT Science. Succession refers to the change in species composition in a given area over ecological time. Table 1 shows the bird species, the dominant, most common plants, and the successional time in years on plots abandoned farmland studied in Georgia. So we've got grasshopper sparrows, weeds, grasses, shrubs, pines, and oaks. Um, the estimated changes in net productivity, grams of organic mass produced per square meter per year, and biomass, kilograms of organic material per square meter, of plants on abandoned farmland in New York appear in figures 1 and 2 respectively. Successional time is divided into 3 stages based on the dominant plants. So here's figure 1 and figure 2. We got successional time in year for the x-axis and net productivity on one graph and biomass on the other graph. According to figure 1, at the end of year 50, the net productivity of the land was closest to. So let's look at figure 1 for a second, and let me get a magnifier on here. Okay, so here's year 50, net productivity, grams per year, and this is figure 1 by the way. We go 50, and if you look at it closely, it's about 1,200-ish, about, yeah, maybe a little more. So at the end of year 50, the net productivity of the land was closest to I would say about 1,125, even though I would have said slightly more than that. According to the answers, it seemed like it's 1,125. Let's check. Number 7 should be D. Yes, I was right. 7 is D. Okay. So number 7 is D. Number 8. Based on the data in figures 1 and 2, the researchers should make which of the following conclusions about the overall change in net productivity and biomass over the 200 years studied? Both net productivity and biomass increased, both net productivity and biomass decreased, net productivity increase and biomass decreased, net productivity decrease and biomass increase. Okay, let's look at the graphs. Over the period of time, as you can see, net productivity does increase over the 200-year interval. And as you look at it here, biomass initially takes a little bit of a slip, but then increases as well over the 200-year interval. So the question says, which of the following conclusions about the overall change in net productivity and biomass? Overall, that's the key word over here. Not looking at one spot, we're looking at the overall change. So it's safe to assume that both the net productivity, if you look at the graphs carefully, both the net productivity and the biomass increase. So the answer should be F. Okay, so let's go to number 9. According to Figure 1, total net productivity increased the most during which of the following time periods? So let's look at Figure 1. Figure 1 is over here. From year 2 to the year 4, no, that doesn't look like much of an increase. From year 4 to the end of year 14, so from year 4 to end of year 14, that doesn't look like much of an increase either. If you look at this carefully, 4, 14, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's increasing much. Year 14 to the end of year 50, this makes a little bit more sense. As you can see, it's actually year 14 here, year 50, all the way up here. Year 50 to the end of 200? No, that doesn't make sense either because it's kind of flat. So, according to Figure 1, total net productivity increased the most during which of the following times period? The answer is C, year 14 to year 50. Okay, so let's just cut that out. Dang it. Which of the following conclusions about net productivity is consistent with the results shown in Figure 1? Net productivity was lowest when shrubs were the dominant plants. Net productivity was lowest when trees were the dominant plants. Net productivity was highest when herbs was the dominant plants. Net productivity was highest when trees were the dominant plants. Okay, so let's look at Figure 1. I'll be totally honest with you. I do not understand. Actually, now I kind of do understand what this is saying. So net productivity was lowest when shrubs were the dominant plants. If you look at the shrubs over here, you can tell that they're kind of in the middle. Net productivity over here, this is the lowest. Shrubs are here in the middle. So that doesn't really make sense. F is out. Net productivity was lowest when trees were the dominant plants. That doesn't make sense either. If you look at trees over here, this period of time between about, I would say, 30 and 200 years, it's actually the highest period of time of net productivity, so that makes no sense. Net productivity was highest when herbs were the dominant plants. Well, if trees are the highest, how are herbs going to be the highest? It doesn't seem like it's somewhere, it's actually at the bottom of everything, so that makes no sense. Net productivity was highest when trees were the dominant plants. That's the final answer, and that's correct because it's, you see trees over here, they're the maximum amount of net productivity. It doesn't go over this. So it reaches an asymptote right here. So J is the correct answer. And this is the last problem for this passage in this video. That's not what I meant to do. A student learned that let's copy this and paste it into the Windows Journal. A student learned that a particular plot of abandoned farmland in Georgia supported eastern meadowlarks, yellowthroats, and field sparrows at a density of at least one pair per 10 acres. Based on Table 1, the student would predict that the dominant plants on this plot of land would be, or most likely, Okay, so we have to, do not confuse this for figure 1 or 2. Table 1. So let's go back to table 1. This is table 1 over here. And it says shaded areas indicate bird species that was present at a density of at least one pair per 10 acres. So a student learned that a particular plot of abandoned farmland in Georgia supported eastern meadowlarks, yellowthroats, and field sparrows at a density of one pair per 10 acres. Based on Table 1, the student would predict that the dominant plants on this plot of land were most likely. Okay, so we got to look for eastern meadowlarks, yellowthroats, and field sparrows. And if you look at this carefully, you see that these three are right here. Eastern meadowlarks, yellowthroats, and field sparrows. And if you look at what's shaded, you find grasses and you find shrubs. Grasses and shrubs, that's it. So the dominant plants on this plot were most likely, well, if you look at this carefully, the only animal with grasses are the eastern meadowlarks, but they also are supported by shrubs. Yellowthroats can't survive on grasses, and neither can field sparrows, but they can survive on shrubs. So most likely, the answer is shrubs, or C. If I can just shrubs. Okay, so that's the final question for this video, and please subscribe and join me for my next video.